So I'd like to welcome everybody to our Zoom event honoring the 3,749 aircrew through a new digital memorial that we have created called World War II Canadian Missing in Action Aircrew Database. June, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kim. Let's see. Look at that. It went 1,000 times. Now it doesn't want to move for us. There we go. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered here today in Mi'kmaq, the traditional and ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This land is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, first signed by the British Crown in 1726. These treaties recognize Mi'kmaq rights and establish a foundation of mutual respect and cooperation. We also honor the deep history and enduring presence of African Nova Scotians whose ancestors have lived on this land for over 400 years. We express our gratitude to those who came before us, recognizing their contributions and resilience in shaping the rich cultural fabric of Nova Scotia. May we continue to walk together in the spirit of reconciliation, respect, and mutual understanding. We'd like to start out today by taking a moment of silence to remember and reflect on this very special VE Day anniversary. Thank you, everyone. Victory in Europe Day, often called VE Day, marks the end of a conflict with Hitler's Germany. The surrender came on May 7th, 1945, and at 9 a.m. on the anniversary of today, May 8th, 1945, VE Day was officially declared. Across cities and towns in Canada, a war-weary nation expressed profound joy and relief. However, in Halifax, the celebrations turned to looting and rioting, a stark reminder of the intensity and exhaustion of war. Although the conflict with Japan continued, Canadians were filled with hope, eager for victory, and ready for peace. For us, the VE Day anniversary serves as a solemn opportunity to remember Canada's contributions and sacrifices during the Second World War. In honor of this day, the digital memorial has been released to commemorate the Royal Canadian Air Force aircrew members who remain missing with no known graves. May we never forget their sacrifices.
So now we'd like to offer you an opportunity to introduce yourself using the chat feature. If you could type in your name and indicate where you're joining us from. If you're from another country, we did have some folks register from outside of Canada. If you could just let us know your province and your town that you're joining us from, we can see who's on the call. Thank you.
And the chat feature should, oh, you found it.
We're seeing we got folks from Ontario, Nova Scotia, some folks from the Legion, some folks that are citizens interested in this topic. Wonderful. It looks like it's slowing down. So thank you for joining us. As I shared, this recording will be posted on our YouTube channel. And you will have an opportunity to ask questions. We're going to go through the presentation and then we'll be done probably about 10:35 and then we'll open it up for questions. I'll turn it over to you, Aaron.
Sure. And Kim, maybe just check the waiting room from time to time. This presentation was developed as part of the Acadia University Recovery Program with funding provided by Veterans Affairs Canada under the Veteran Commemorative Partnership Program. The Acadia University Recovery Program is a university-led initiative dedicated to the historical and investigative research, recovery, identification, and commemoration of Canadians missing in action, military service personnel from World War I, World War II, and the Korean conflict. Our mission is to actively engage in all 5 stages of the recovery program, ensuring that those who served are remembered, their stories are told, and their sacrifices are honored. Our efforts, as I said, are focused on 5 key areas. Number 1, policy advocacy. We're working to bring about a policy shift in Canada aiming to transform the Canadian Casualty Identification Program from a passive system to an active recovery program. Presently, Canada only becomes involved when the remains of a soldier, air crewman, are accidentally recovered during development of a highway, or a farmer clearing his field in Belgium or France or Germany, but we don't actively search for our missing. Historical investigative research. Our research is dedicated to uncovering the stories of World War I, World War II, and those from the Korean conflict, striving to bring clarity and recognition for their sacrifices. Again, we're not trying to recover the 27,000 that are missing. Our goal is to provide the fullest account possible for each and every person who's listed as missing, and when appropriate, when possible, lead an active search for the remains of that person. Number 3, field school opportunities. We provide hands-on learning experiences for post-secondary students and dedicated volunteers, offering them chance to participate in an active recovery program. Number 4, technological innovations. We lever the advancements in forensic genetic genealogy, anthropology, and archaeology to enhance our recovery efforts and identify those who remain missing. And this is key, the advancement in technology. 30 years ago, we couldn't do this. We didn't have advancements in DNA. So if we were to find remains, there was very little we could tell from them. But now, through these technological advancements, all we need is a tiny fragment of a tooth or a bone, and there's a good chance that we can make an identification. And finally, number 5, public awareness and engagement. Our final focus is on increasing public awareness, encouraging collective efforts to complete the life stories of these fallen heroes to, again, the fullest account possible. This may range from conducting historical research to determine their fate, to active research and recovery missions on foreign soil where and when justified. Today's focus is on building public awareness and actively pursuing historical research to honor their memory and complete their stories. So who are we? We're a multidisciplinary team with experts spanning archaeology, policy analysis, and technological and social innovation. Our collaborative efforts began in the fall of 2023, leading to the official launch of the Acadia University Recovery Program on November 5th, 2024. I'll turn it over to you, Kim.
Thank you, Aaron. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our guiding principles. We developed these principles to serve as a framework for our work, embedding them in the program's decision and daily operations. As Aaron has said, we are an interdisciplinary team, so we take an interdisciplinary approach. We engage expertise from a diverse range of disciplines, including social sciences, history, forensic genetic genealogy, anthropology, archaeology, and social innovation, to work collaboratively and effectively towards a common goal. We focus on collaboration and coordination. Our commitment extends to building strong partnerships with institutions and individuals, both nationally and internationally, who bring energy, knowledge, and influence to develop and implement an active recovery program in Canada. We are especially eager to establish meaningful relationships with legions across Canada, and we welcome all folks, but we welcome the folks from the Legion. This is our second meeting where we've engaged Legions from across Canada and as part of this mission. Innovation, we strive for positive change through the introduction of new ideas and processes, advancing the field of historical recovery and remembrance. And lastly, equity and death. We are dedicated to modeling a fair and just process for researching the 27,000 missing in action military personnel, ensuring that their life stories are completed with dignity and respect. Today, our focus is on the Royal Canadian Air Force crew members from World War II who remain missing with no known grave.
Today, we invite your support and your engagement in raising awareness of this deeply significant cause, honoring our missing in action military personnel from World War II who have no known graves. According to the Department of Defense, any Canadian military member who died in service and has no known or maintainable grave is classified as unaccounted for military fatality. The Libraries and Archives of Canada refer to these individuals as missing in action, MIA, a term we've heard most commonly. Those whose whereabouts and status remain unknown following their military operations. So at the Acadia University Recovery Program that we're part of, our focus is on those who served or trained during World War II, remain without a known grave, and are officially recognized as MIA. We're proud to share that this important work is supported by funding through Veterans Affairs Canada under their commemorative partnership program. Together, we can honor their legacy and ensure their stories are remembered.
So we've dedicated this project that we're releasing today to memorialize the 3,749 Canadian missing in action aircrew members who remain without a known grave. As a program, we are interested in completing the life stories of all those that are missing in action, but we needed to start somewhere. So to provide the fullest account possible, and we start with historical research. And so we started with the RCAF aircrew members with no known grave. Okay, June, you're going on. Oh, sorry.
Here we go. I gotcha.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so one of the reasons we're doing this, as Aaron had said, the science has changed, and when we conduct the historical research, we understand more about their lives as citizens, but we also understand more about how they died, and we can start to investigate those that may be recoverable. And that goes to our guiding principle of the fullest account possible. And so helping conduct the historical research helps us identify, based on what is found, to assess, is a recovery mission a possibility? June, next slide, please.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we going to do this? We have created a searchable database designed to engage people like you, educators, Legion members, history enthusiasts, military personnel, families with service members, social justice advocates, and members of the general public. This platform invites you to join us in conducting historical research to help tell the life stories of those often missing from remembrance. By uncovering their histories and sharing their stories, we collectively honor their service and ensure their sacrifices are never forgotten. And your contribution not only preserves their legacy, but also upholds the principle of equality in death and obligation of care. An obligation of care refers to enduring social contract between the government, the grieving families of the missing, and the broader public to remember, respect, and care for those that who did not return. On the call today with us is Josh Gould. Josh, give a little wave. Josh is a Humber student that we have been working with in computer programming, and he helped provide the infrastructure for the database. We had the idea, and I was trying to do it as somebody who doesn't know a lot about designing computer programs, had a conversation with Josh, and within 3 hours, he started to build the skeleton of what you're going to see. Thank you, June. So now we're going to play a short video that walks you through the database so that you can see how to use it, the different features. Please jot down any questions you may have or comments that you would like to make as you're watching the video. Okay, so this is the home page. And after I do the presentation, I'll put the link in, but it was in your meeting invite. So here are the 4 ways you can participate. You select a name from the database. So you can find the database here, here, and here. We wanted to make sure you could find it. So if you pick a name, then you pick select. So I'm now going to go to the database. I'm just going to shut my, yeah, there we go. Okay. So you can see the database. We have organized it by province and then by towns or cities. That makes this database unique. Most databases for our war heroes are done by last names and alphabetically. So if you are searching for a family member, that makes sense because you know what name you're searching for. But if you wanted to pick a name that comes from a geographical location from where you're born or where you're living, it's a little harder to find out who those people are. So here we've made it really easy. There are 10 provinces. There were no Canadian Royal Canadian Air Force missing in action with no known graves from the Northwest Territories or Northern Canada. So that's why there are the 10 provinces. At the time of World War II, Newfoundland was not actually a province of Canada, but we've included it here because they are now a province of Canada. So you can see, you get the province name, the flag, how many people are listed per province. So that's how the 3749 are geographically located. If you click on it, you can see we have named the towns alphabetically. So you can search for your town. We say how many people are from each town. And I know it should be one person. But when you're programming, it's hard, you know, it's an extra layer of programming to say if it's one, do person, if it's more than one, do people. So we've just gone one people. If you click on it, so I'm going to click on Andrew, this is the type of data that comes up. This is the same data from the database where we got the information. And I'll show you that in just a minute. So here you can see Alexander's full name, where he's from, when he died, the squadron he is part of, that he is memorialized on a memorial in England. He has no known grave. And this says a little bit about when he died, like what was the mission they were on. And you can see it says here, please see Croswell PB. So here, we don't know where Croswell geographically is from. So you'll have a hard time finding it on our database, but I'm going to show you where we got the information, and you go to that database and you look up Croswell, and you'll find more information, and then you can come back to our database or stay on that one. So if you decide to take Alexander, you hit select. We ask you for your name and your email address. You hit confirm. You will automatically get an email that provides you more information, gives you the link to the resource guide on how to conduct historical research, and lets you know that we will check in a couple of weeks to see how your progress is. So if we go back to cities, oh, and I forgot, we added this. Josh is amazing. I'll say, oh, Josh, I can't do this. And he'll say, well, Kim, I'll make it so. So you can actually type in the name of your town here, and that could find it. I just scroll alphabetically. So we go back to provinces, and you can see here, it says the available names, and then our counter says 3 are out. So I know that 3 people have chosen a name. And then when the stories are complete, our counter will tell us how many are complete. So you may be wondering, how did we get all this data? Because we did not create it. So if you go to the About page, it tells you a little bit about Josh and I, but it also tells you where we got the data from for the database. It's from the Royal Canadian Air Force Casualties Second World War webpage. And that's where they're organized. All of the RCAF casualties are listed there. And I think there's over 7,000. Josh created a computer program where we scraped their database, and then started to use filters. So we filtered out only those with no known graves from Canada. And that's how we got to 3749 that are on our database. This tells you a little bit, we just told you, but why we're focusing on MIA aircrew. What does MIA mean? And the Acadia Recovery Program. So if we go back to the home page, you can see, you can select a name. Now you're going to conduct research. We have written a research guide that you can click on here, or it's up here in the top menu. I'll show that in a minute. So you use that. It's a step process. It provides publicly available links in order to conduct historical research. Then you write the report. At the end of the guide, we offer some suggestions of sections for the report. And then when you're ready to submit your report, you come back to our homepage and you click here, and it takes you to an email, and you can upload a Word document, and we will verify the information, write a summary, send it back to you with your permission to post on our website, and we will post under completed stories. So right now our completed stories are empty, but we hope in the coming weeks that we'll be posting some stories. I just want to show you the guide that we wrote. Tell me if you can see it. Nod your head, Aaron, if you can see it. Yep, wonderful. So this guide tells you how to use it. It's a standalone. You can use this to recruit other people to help you. We're trying to promote that, 2 or 3 people pick a name, but you only register it once, and you work as a group in conducting the historical research and writing the report and submitting to us. The first thing we want to emphasize when you conduct historical research is keep a personal research journal. You will come across a lot of information, and some of it you may not think is relevant, and then later on understand that it was relevant. So you need to keep a digital copy or a pen to paper copy of what you did, what you found, and what are your thoughts or ideas for next steps as you're conducting the research. This is the step process I was telling you about. Of course, the first step is start with our database. Then we have consult with the Canadian Virtual War Memorial, access service files, explore the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. And each section tells you what you will find, what you should find there. And then we have other utilized additional resources. And I will add 625 Squadron. It's in the chat box. Thank you, Philippe, for joining us today. His group has spent a lot of time doing a digital memorial for World War II folks as well. So you can click on these. All the links are live, takes you to where you need to go. The last part of this guide is how to write a report. We've offered the general section headings that are to be used. So this is where that journal becomes really important, because you collect all this information, you're just writing it down as you find it. Now you need to start organizing it. So the sections that we've encouraged people to use is demographics and military information, civilian life, military career, final mission and death, and then memorial actions, because sometimes a town could have a memorial. The family could have already done research and the story is done, and we just need to post it on our website. We do ask that you list the name and the URL links of information source to use the report, because that's how we verify it to ensure that the information is accurate. So that's the research guide.
And can I just jump in for a second, Kim?
Sure.
How powerful this can be. I've had my students in my history classes at Acadia do these biographies, and from their work, it was about 70 students, 70, 72, that I've been able to, through their work, identify 6 MIA, Canadian MIA, with high potential for recovery. So, and right now I'm investigating those further. So all the reports that you do write will be read by one of us, and those that are deemed high potential, further investigations will be done, and hopefully leading to an active recovery mission. So that's the goal of this, is to provide the fullest account possible, and in some situations lead to an active recovery. So yeah, it's really important work, and everything you do will be read.
That's
Sorry.
great, Aaron.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And that is why we're crowdsourcing and trying to teach people how to conduct historical research, as well as part of our principles and our efforts are to ensure that the folks that are missing in action with no known graves are not forgotten. And so it's about writing their legacy. So on that note, and to support what Aaron was saying, we have also created lesson plans. And these lesson plans are targeted towards high school students, post-secondary students, but they can be used by anyone. You can use them as a group. Cadet programs can do it. Legions, you can start like a book club, but do a conduct historical research club and engage people in this work. So the first one is the lesson plan 1 that is really outlines interactive activities to get students to learn how to conduct historical research. Again, anybody can use that. There's a video that's included in that gives some history, and there's a question and answer. Then we have some, for any of the educators on the call, we have an activity about learning about World War II and the Royal Air Force Ferry Command. And for those that, you know, if you're going to be a supply teacher one day, there's a Q&A that you can leave for the students so they can read the activity or watch the video. I don't remember if there's a video for that one, but they could answer 10 questions and you have the answers to those questions. Then we have another activity around World War II, those with no known graves in the Acadia University Recovery Program, to get people to be aware of who we are, what we're doing, and join us in accomplishing our goals. So the last one, so as I shared, the completed stories will be here. They're not here yet, but this other button, you can check in at all the time. It's where we're going to post news. So we posted 2 articles here. One is an example of how historical research led to an active recovery mission in Canada of a World War II Canadian aircrew missing in action. The thing about some of our missing in action aircrew members is because Canada was the Commonwealth air training facility, we did have some that died on Canadian soil. And so this is one example. The other one, news article, is to show it how powerful conducting historical research actually is for the family and the community. And so that this article really talks about it from the family's viewpoint. This is where you can check out our YouTube channel. We post the videos there, and we'll be posting messages there. So this is, you know, showing you how to get to the database. The most important page, of course, is the home page. Join us, select a name, research, rate, and submit a report. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now, and we'll go back. June, we just have a question slide. I think we're going to questions now.
We're taking
right?
questions. We have.
Yeah. Okay, so let's open it up for questions, comments, thoughts. You can use the hand feature, or you can type in the chat and we'll monitor the chat.
Just want to let you guys know you're doing an amazing initiative here. I'm actually on the other end of the whole thing. I'm actually the result of all this missing in action, because my family was from Holland. Canadians liberated Holland. We appreciate everything about Canada, and I'm just saying, what an amazing initiative. So I'm going to try and support as best I can here.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike. Any other questions or comments at this time?
Ross Toms from the Richmond Hill Legion. Just a quick question. Is there a facility for a picture to be loaded to the database, or is of the individual?
I'll answer, and then Josh, you can jump in if you want. If you include a picture in your Word document, upload in your Word document, we will include it in what we upload to the system. So what will probably be uploaded from this to the system is a PDF of the story and a summary of the story, and then they click on it. So we would try to put a picture with that, but we ask that pictures at this time be put in the Word document. Is that correct, Josh?
Yeah, you're going to be emailing it, so you can send a picture. Just depends on how big the email is. You can only send so many megabytes in an email, so just don't send too many pictures.
Yeah, and we'll negotiate with you and talk back and forth when it comes to actually releasing it out to the public. We're still working on right now. We've landed on, we're publishing first names, geographical location, and date of report. If the person would like to put more contact information at the end of the report in the PDF, that's fine. But on the website, that's sort of what we're leaning towards. And then they click on a link and they go to the full report once permission is granted.
So Kim, we have a question in the chat and we have a hand up. So Philip, I'm actually going to read your question from the chat, which said, when I designed the database for the 625 Squadron website, I initially distinguished between MIA and KIA. But after consultation with other expert researchers, I reverted back to only using KIA. What is Canada DND's position on how lost aircrew are classified? Do you know the answer to that question?
Well, I think Kim, you're muted, but I think you mentioned that in one of in your conversation earlier, where they're listed as MIA, correct?
Yeah, the National Defense actually lists them as unaccounted for. It's the library, the archives that says MIA. And then I said which definition we've landed on. What I found through my research, we are working on a policy paper, and Derek, you're on the call. Thank you so much for your feedback. We're almost ready to submit. We spent a lot of time researching what language to use and how to say it, and what does it actually mean. And so what I've learned is that any military service personnel who died and has not been recovered, is unaccounted for, is still in active service, but the designation they have is unaccounted for.
Yeah, military totality.
Like in military terms. But it's on the slide, the exact definition, and it's on our website, because we've been very cautious in how we define things to make sure we align with what is the policy to what is common language in society. But that is a great question. I'm wondering if there's a way on the 625 Squadron to put like a asterisk or something for those that are still missing in action versus killed in action. So killed in action is different than missing in action.
So Derek is up with the next question, Kim.
Okay, sure. Hello, Derek.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for the invitation. Sorry, I came in late. First, I want to reiterate the comment by Mike. It's a really great, really interesting initiative. I just want to share very briefly. I come at the problem from a different perspective, because I'm a forensic archaeologist and anthropologist, and I worked in the US. I'm originally from Tecumseh, Ontario, just outside Windsor. But the US Department of Defense has a very active program, and it stands out. I mean, the Germans do something similar, South Koreans, but it's a really different scale. And so I've also felt it very frustrating that Canada has a very different take or approach to the problem. And I understand it's very much for logistical and financial reasons and so on, but I think there are very simple efforts that can be made um, to resolve certain cases at least. But I currently live and work mostly in Latin America, and I just want to say that my experience in the US and also in Latin America has shown that initiatives like this can be remarkable and can be really useful, but they can also be antagonistic. And for example, in Latin America, if we think of sort of Cold War civil conflicts, often the state was perpetrating disappearances. And so civil society rose up to answer that because people didn't trust the government. I mean, the government was responsible for the disappearances. How can we trust the state to investigate? But at the end of the day, legally, the state has that responsibility. So, and even in the context of the U.S. as well, you know, some people are dissatisfied with how the government manages their investigation. I mean, those of us who are outside, we're just simply jealous because they commit so much money and effort. But it's such an emotional issue, right? That, you know, people get really dug into certain positions or policies and are often really inflexible about how it's done. In Mexico is a very recent example. Again, mothers of disappeared persons have gone out frustrated with the lack of response from the state, and they've gone out and just dug up bodies. They found them and they've dug them up. There's been some compromise in more recent years where the mothers continue to do this work. But when they find a burial site, then they're reported to the state. And this has become embarrassing to the state, and the state tends to respond. All of this just to say that I think of Colombia as a good example, Mexico, and also in the US. I want to encourage this to be a complementary effort. And I'm not trying to defend government policy on this or how they do things, but only to say that there's amazing potential if the relationship is much more complementary rather than competitive. Like I say, have felt this frustration with Canadian policy, but I mention this because for families of those who are missing, they're the beneficiaries, and we all ought to be working for them. And if there's internal fighting over how it's done, those families suffer even more. So, like I say, I see amazing potential with the project here. I find it exciting. I hope to be able to contribute in whatever way. But just as you bring this forward, my advice would be try to find some degree of peace and complementarity with this, you know, what Department of National Defense is doing, rather than make it something that's antagonistic. I think Canadians are naturally good at this, but only to say that it can backfire. And those who suffer when it backfires are the families of those who are missing.
Can I just address the point, Derek? Yeah, and excellent. We've had this internal conversation many times, especially with your contribution to the paper we're writing. And so we've been in continuous communication with Stefan Nagy, the director of the Commonwealth Graves Commission, who oversees all missing and Commonwealth missing in action, and with Dr. Sarah Lockyer. So we had the group of us had a meeting, and the meeting started out with, you know, a firm wall. This isn't going to happen. To once she got to know what our goals and objectives were, to wow, this makes a lot of sense. So, you know, presently she's getting called in when a farmer uncovers a body, doesn't know when it's going to happen. But we approached it with, what if we told you between June 1st and June 30th, we were going to actively search this crash? And she said, God, that would make my life a lot easier. So for her, it was, well, the idea of being inundated with all these skeletal remains. And so we were very cognizant of getting her on board, because of course, without her and without Stefan, nothing can happen. So she's taking it up the food chain as well. But and it's unfortunately she was going to be in on this Zoom meeting, but wasn't able to. So your point is absolutely taken. And yeah, so, and we really are about grassroots and bringing people like yourself, experts in your field, and all the politicians and everything like that, because we don't want to make false hopes, give false hope to parents and families and loved ones, and then not be able to follow through. So absolutely, your point is well taken.
Thanks, Aaron. Pat's been patiently waiting to ask a question. Go ahead, Pat.
It's not a question, it's just an observation. Kim has seen the work I've done on my great uncle who was killed in the First World War. And when I started 30 some years ago, I had his name and a military picture. That was it. And through contacting family members, he had been from Nova Scotia, but he homesteaded in Alberta, and he joined from there. And since then, I've been able to piece them together. I now have a very comprehensive binder of his work. He was considered killed in action, but he was taken to the dressing station. And I was able to obtain from a great aunt a letter from the salvage reburial group of what they took off his body, his money and whatever he had, his pictures and things like that. And they returned them to the family. But then he was buried on the dressing station, so on the fighting, going into Passchendaele. So he is listed as an unknown grave, although he was buried and was marked. And so it's really been quite an emotional time of what I found. I have now been able to access over 60 letters that he wrote home to his sister. And that gave me a lot of information. So I was greatly impressed when Kim first invited me to, after she seen my work, to take part in this. And I've picked one from Nova Scotia. I just went back to the Amherst area, which is where my father's family was from. And I just picked a name. None of them seemed familiar, but his name I'd heard. And I researched just last night, and I have most of the basics done. And turns out we have several indirect family connections to this person that's missing. So
Wow.
when I get him finished, I will certainly go for more.
Wonderful.
Thank you for this.
And thank you to Pat. Pat, I'm in Ontario, but I do work in Nova Scotia. And when I visited Nova Scotia in November, I got to spend the afternoon with Pat. And Pat is actually my husband's aunt. And I was able to spend the afternoon and go through her binders and ask her questions about how to conduct historical research. And, she really helped me operationalize what I was learning from the books, because my background is not in history. I'd also like to thank Shane Gibson, who's on the call with us. Shane is a retired teacher now, but I also consulted with Shane after I created all the activity and lesson plans to get his feedback on how to package them, how to improve them, how to make them easier for teachers to pick up and get it. Because the more people we can have pick a name and write a report, the more completed stories we get, the more we can understand which ones are recoverable. As we're doing that, we're working with the government, as Aaron shared. Right at the end of the meeting, everybody was on board that yes, we will partner together. We will communicate with each other. We understand what our boundaries are, but we also understand that we can work with others. And so, in the future, we may be crowdsourcing to do an active mission if our historical research supports a geographical location that we can legally get access to and have permission to, then we will go on the mission to try to recover and finish that part of the story. And everybody's nodding, yes, let's work together to make that happen. So we were very happy with that result. And Derek, that happened. I can't remember when in 2025, early in 2025, but part of it was we wrote that policy paper, we reflected on your feedback, we've been massaging it and working on this project, and it allowed us to have a better conversation with them. And we are very collaborative. We're all Canadian from a small town, so that's just who we are, but it was helpful. So again, thank you for that. It has been helpful in making our vision come true.
Yeah, it's helped focus us. Absolutely.
So I did want to just mention Ross Toms put a nice comment in the chat. He said, I did not notice in the research tools if the Legion's military service recognition books database is a tool that can be used. Most provinces have such a tool. Also, the last post fund database, not extensive, but may have some valuable research in the database. Always excited and happy to hear about other possible resources that we can add to the toolkit for sure. So Ross, thank you so much. We'll certainly look into those. And if they are usable databases that we can verify, then we will certainly connect them to the project as well. Thank you so much for that.
I just wanted to add a comment in my support to this initiative. I think it's a really important one. And I've been researching my uncle and his crew's loss for, I guess, almost 50 years now. And I've been to their crash site. There was only one of 7 crew members who were recovered. The rest weren't. And I thought it was something interesting to try. And about a week ago or so, I framed up all of the information that I have about their crash, the circumstances, the location, everything that I have researched over the years, and I put that into ChatGPT in terms of what the potential recovery would be for that crew. And you know, you have to take maybe things with a grain of salt with ChatGPT, but I was really taken aback with what it came back with in terms of the amount of detail and analysis and insights and the things that would have to be done to facilitate a recovery. And it was pretty interesting, actually. At the end, the chances are pretty low, which I was disappointed to see, but they were probably realistic. But anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there.
Thank you. And just to touch base on that, this is why one of the reasons we feel so confident about this is of doing these recoveries, and what has got Dr. Sarah Lockyer on board is for the last 4 years, I've been doing recovery missions with U.S. teams. I just got back from the Philippines on a recovery mission. It was actually of a Canadian who was fighting with the U.S. Armed Forces. So add that with the technological advances that we know how to do this now. And so what seemed in the past to be all but impossible, you know, there is a higher potential now for actually conducting successful missions. So I'm not familiar with the account you're speaking of, but the ability to do recoveries and identifications has really advanced, and it's advancing every year that goes by. We get better at this.
And just to add to that recovery mission that Aaron went on, we are actually writing a case study on what it's like to be researchers researching this topic. So it's using narrative inquiry, and it's, you know, this is a social innovation, social science lens that we're bringing to that. And so we are both the subjects and the researchers. And another archaeologist went with Aaron, Bria. So she's part of that project. So we have all these little projects going on, but it really is about honoring our guiding principles and then our 5 activities that we intend to do. And so anybody that can help us with conducting historical research, you're contributing to more than just the database and completing the stories. You're contributing to making our work so that, you know, our goal is to be on a mission within 3 years and to crowdfund that mission to happen. And what we've heard from the Graves Commission and from Sarah is get enough money to bring them along. And our probabilities of being given permission to do it will increase substantially. And if we write it up as a research study, then we have access to other funds that we normally have in archaeology. So, you know, that's why we're an interdisciplinary team. Yes, we all know each other. We've known each other for years, but we're using our skills to really bring this to the forefront. And the hope is, our intention always is, as Derek has said, to make Canada embrace an active recovery program. And if we have to pave the way, we will pave the way.
Yeah, and that would look like what I've spoken with some politicians, that would look like a 5-year pilot project give us 5 years, properly fund us, and let's see what we can do. So until that time, we are going to be looking for outside revenues and see what we can do with that.
But we're just not there yet, but we are getting our building blocks in place and our partnerships in place to do that both in Canada and internationally. Is there any other questions, comments, thoughts about the database that folks would like to share? Sharon, I'm just looking at yours. Is there a master list of all the submissions? Military service records. I'm not sure what MSRB stands for. Can you say what that stands for?
That is military service recognition book.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll look into that. I talk about the records that the RCAF keeps of all their missions and going to that, but maybe that's different. So we'll investigate that. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing that.
Well, folks,
So I'm just,
oh, sorry, I was just going to say we're mindful of time. We got a couple minutes left. I think the resounding message as well is share broadly, share openly. Please encourage your educational institutions, your legions, as Kim said, your cadet programs, or the neighbor next door who's just really, really interested. We would certainly like to engage as many individuals as we can. Kim's put all that nice information, our contact information, the database links, all in the chat, so you can get a hold of any of us to chat with us about the project or to access the resources. And Kim, anything else that you want to add to that?
no, just thank you for joining us. And my last push, both June and I work in the aging and health field. And so this is a great project. We've actually merged into our aging and health world with this project because it's a great way to engage older adults. And we have a lot of older adults that are computer savvy. But even those that aren't, just inviting them to tell stories or to talk about the project and them talking about their lives. So especially I'm focusing on the Legion members, if you have socially isolated older adults and you want to make this an activity that they could come and do at the Legion, and you have somebody that can, look at the computer stuff, but you can print off stuff to have the older adults look at or engage them in some way, teach them some skills. It is a great activity to do at Legions. And we don't have any doing it right now, but if I'm in Cobourg, Aaron's in Wolfville, June is in Amherst, Nova Scotia. If those Legions are at all interested, if you're on the call, reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you set that up as a good way to address social isolation and to help us conduct historical research.
And Aaron will give you the last word.
Yeah, the last word. It's what I say to my students when we're out in the field, when we're just about to start a project. And I'm not sure who I'm quoting. It might be Confucius, but it goes something like, every person dies twice, once physically, and the second time when their name is spoken for the last time. So this is a way of keeping them alive, saying their name, and commemorating them, their lives that were cut much too short. So on that, thank you very much, everyone. And please reach out to us if you have any other questions or comments. Our emails are listed, and let's see what we can do together.
Hey, thanks for putting a great presentation together. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.